Hi, we are Lakota Robotics, and welcome to our crash course on aesthetics and branding. My name is Courtney Leiden, and I'm one of the team co-captains.
My name is Emily Lopane, and I am the mechanical leader, and I'm also in charge of a lot of aesthetics with the group.
Hi, my name is Drew Friend, and I'm the controls leader.
Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about is the halo effect.
Okay, so I just really briefly want to talk a little bit about the halo effect, It's a form of cognitive bias, which causes one part to make the whole more attractive or desirable, and it can be applied to basically anything. So this is like the part of, or this is a fancy way to explain why first impressions matter. When you see someone or something and it looks good, you usually have a better impression as a whole over what that is. Or it could be any other aspect that you know about that product or that company or robot. So it's really important when you are presenting your team at an event or at a regional competition, because if you look good and you look professional and your robot looks good, people will have a better first impression as a whole. They'll be more willing to talk to you, to engage with you, and maybe even remember you.
So for our team, our rule number one is always aesthetics. It is our first priority to make sure that our robot looks fantastic. Even if it doesn't function as well as we would like it to, it's important that our robot looks good, and that's a lot due to the halo effect that Emily was talking about. So if our robot looks good, we're going to get the benefit of the doubt from judges and refs and even other teams when they're picking teams for their alliances. Because if you have a really clean and polished robot, then you look like you function maybe more than you actually do. And so because of that, we won the Industrial Design Award in 2017 and 2019, and the Imagery Award in 2015 and 2020, because of that focus on our team aesthetics.
So some of the ways that we do that on our robot are listed here. We orbital sand a lot of the materials. We obviously buy parts in our trademark blue and purple. All of our wiring is very neatly kind of out of the way. We spray paint or powder coat a lot of the parts just to kind of give it a more finished feel than just the plain metal. We use vinyl decals for sponsored logos and on our bumpers to make it really stand out. We do swag lights, which are our blue and purple LEDs that we have all over the robot to really accent some of our fun parts. And we hydrodip a lot of the accent pieces. We actually started doing that on this past robot, and that's what we're going to kind of focus on today.
Okay, so here you can see just some of the things that we've hydrodipped. It's essentially a process where you're spraying paint into a tub of water and you're dipping your part in, and the paint is transferring to your part. So you can hydrodip basically anything, which is what makes it so great. We did brackets on our robot. We've done safety glasses. We did our vise. We even did someone's hand. We've probably hydrodipped more things than we should have, but it's a lot of fun, and you'll see why.
As Emily was saying, the process that we use for hydrodipping is first we clean and sand the materials so that the paint will go on nicely and it'll be a smooth coat. And then you have to get a tub of warm water. You spray paint your colors on it in a pattern that's like looks kind of nice and tie-dye-y. And you have to make sure you do that really fast so that the paint doesn't start to dry on the surface of the water. And then you dip the part into the swirled water and you have to fully submerge it. And then you use your hands to swirl away any remaining paint so that when you pull it back up out of the water, you don't get like an accidental second coat that doesn't look as good. And then we just hang them to dry.
So, of course, the robot isn't the only part of our team that we kind of make pretty with all of our blue and purple aesthetics. Our whole team is themed around it. We have obviously our t-shirts, our handouts, our light-up lights, as you can see here. Our whole drive team wears blue and purple capes. It's kind of a way to keep the team consistent and include like logo on everything, and just kind of make sure that our whole team feels cohesive and keep everything together. Yeah.
Okay, so right now we're going to open it up to some questions about aesthetics, how to make a robot look good, team branding in general. Any questions that you guys have, just type it in the chat and we'll answer them.
And as you guys are putting your questions in the chat, please still feel free to do that. We're also going to be spending the rest of our time doing some aesthetics demoing. So we prepared a whole bunch of different random objects that we can Hydrodip for you guys. So if you'd like to put something in the chat that you see on this list or that you think we might just happen to have around our face, we would love to demo some random Hydrodip parts for you guys. So feel free to put those in the chat as well.
Okay, looks like we have a question. You should be able to hit escape, and that will take you out.
Okay, so we're just gonna start hydrodipping as we wait for any questions or suggestions. So we're filling up one of our tubs with water right now. What do you want to start with?
Why don't we just start with a piece of aluminum? Sure. Here, I'll turn on the camera so you guys can see what's up.
We're still, it doesn't show the camera yet.
Yeah, I know, I'm trying to figure it out. How do I stop sharing? Okay. There we go. Okay, so we do have a question from the chat. They wanted to know if you can hydrodip like hands or body parts.
Yes, you can for personal experience. You can hydrodip your hands or other various body parts. It doesn't come off super well. You kind of have to peel it off with your fingernails. But yeah, you can hydrodip them. It does look like super cool for like a couple of hours, and then you get
spray painting your hand, if you can imagine that, it's gonna stick and you're gonna have to scrub really hard to get it off, but you can do it. So
if we get enough requests in the chat, we can convince Jimmy to hydrate his hand later.
that's true.
Thank you.
Okay,
Let's bring it. You want to spray?
sure. Let me just make sure we're in frame. Oh wait, you can see it on the computer. Okay, so we have already primed all of our materials with a base coat of white. You can do whatever color you want, but white or black usually works the best. And then pick whatever colors you want to put on it.
We do have, this is an example here of a piece that we did not prime. So as you can see, there are some parts that are still fairly silver. And it does look, it's a different look. So if this is an aesthetic you like, it's definitely an option. But we definitely like the more finished look of parts that are primed. So that's why we do.
All right, so the first step is just spraying purple and blue or whatever colors you want into the water. Dip it in and lay it down through I'm just alternating what colors that I'm spraying to get a striped look. Okay, and then take your part in with the glove, swirl all the other paint away, and then you can bring it back up. All right, show the camera. Great.
Yeah, so that's the look that we've achieved here. It's the blue and purple stripy look. And then we have this hanging mechanism that we use. This is an old whiteboard stand without the whiteboard. And so we have a string that we hook around the edges. And so we'll just string it through the part while it's still on the hanger. And then hook it back around the side. And then pull the hanger out. And then we've got our part hung, and we're not too messy, and it'll hang to dry. Okay.
All right, no other questions right now. So, what would you like to hydrodip next? Yeah.
All right, so this one is different. We've never done a piece with a black base coat before. So we're going to try to dip this piece of aluminum with black and see how it turns out.
All right. Oh, hi.
You want it like over the top?
Yeah. Okay. So we're just gonna give you guys a closer view of what this is gonna look like. Uh-oh.
And now McKenna's dipped her hand.
It's fine.
Gonna swirl it until it's all the way out of the way. Okay. So that's our finished piece with the black underneath. It's kind of got a cool galaxy-ish vibe going on. And McKenna's hand, if you can see that in the background there, she kind of accidentally got it dipped, but yeah, it turns out cool all the same. And then they're just gonna hang it up.
don't know. Let's just hydro dip something fun. What do you want to dip? All right, we're gonna dip a narwhal.
Yeah.
Well, that's just where I am now.
Okay, I'm really nervous.
If you don't care, I don't care.
Okay, this time I'm gonna spray both cans at once. That gets a less of a striped look and more of like a gradient, almost like galaxy look. So we'll see how that turns out.
Ooh, pretty. So, this one, it's not entirely covered. We've got some white spots on there just because of the shape of it. So I think that we can probably let this one dry for a few minutes and then dip it again.
Okay, and then you can see the difference.
Yeah.
The blue and purple sort of fade together a little bit more than the other ones that are just like hard stripes. So there are just different ways to experiment with it. Just there's no wrong way to do it really. So grab something else. Okay, so the chat has suggested to hydro dip Jimmy's head. I don't know if we can do his head, but maybe just.
He said no to the head.
Okay, Jimmy said no.
Sacrifice. I think that's a no from Jimmy.
All right, Jimmy won't let us dip his head.
We'll get him out here later for a finale. Maybe we'll do a finger or something.
Maybe we'll get him to do something.
Yeah. Okay. In the meantime, t-shirt, this one's for her.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, okay, we'll do both of them then.
All right. People also requested safety glasses.
So we'll have to take some apart, but we can have some people working on that while we have to dip the next few things. Do that in a couple of items.
Right. So we'll get some safety glasses to dip.
So you guys do the t-shirt, and then we'll do
The t-shirt.
Yeah.
It's a big bin of water. All right, we have a t-shirt. We don't know if this is gonna work. We've never tried this before. We have a big bin of water, but we're gonna give it a shot. I think the best way to do this would just to be like go full in. Who likes to dip? Here, I would wash your water.
I'm just kidding.
Some of this working out as well as we help with them.
Sure. Maybe come back through the paint too. Okay, we had it at the t-shirt.
That's the first time?
That's the first.
That
I don't
did
know if
not
it
work.
really turned out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a lot
Right.
more.
Maybe stick with
computer.
tie-dye. We'll stick with tie-dye.
That computer.
It dies, it's fine. The phone is what we're streaming from.
Yeah, but then we can't see the chat.
All right, so now we know not to hydrodip t-shirts, I guess.
Roll it.
All right, I would like to show you guys, we did hydrodip some safety glasses. So these are what the hydrodip safety glasses look like. We took them apart and did just the sides. And we also experimented a little bit with airbrushing. So these are the ones that we airbrush. So they look a little different. I think I like the hydrodip ones better. But now we're gonna hydrodip an Xbox controller.
We did take it apart first. The electronics are not still in it. Please do not put electronics. Don't dip the electronics.
Right.
It will get damaged. Water still damages electronics, even if there's paint in it.
That's a good point. Anything that has a removable shell, always take it apart before you dip it. It just makes it easier to dip if there's nothing inside of it.
And like with the safety glasses, we actually took those apart so we could dip just the side pieces and leave the glasses part completely clear, so we didn't have to worry about taping it. So we took them apart, dipped the sides, and then put them back together.
You might want to just grab a glove. And there's one right here.
What?
Grab a glove.
Oh.
Just hold it from this part and dip it in like that. Okay, and if there's not an easy place to hook into, you can always grab part of it, like the Xbox controller doesn't need to be dipped in the back. So you can grab a part that doesn't have to be dipped, or put some tape as like a little hanger. That's okay.
Even if, like, as long as you get it in the
As long
water
as
before
it
you
gets in
drop
the
it, then you're fine.
I would not do that. All right. Here's black and purple.
Yeah. Sometimes if you've been doing it for a while, there will be some paint flecks that are just out in the water, and you can just swirl your hand around and they'll cling to the sides of the container. Oh, and don't use this with the container that you ever want to use for anything else again, because once you hydrodip in a container once, it's gone.
I would go for this part that looks.
Wherever you put it in, that's fine. Okay, all the way in.
All right, and then swirl away.
Okay, pull it out.
All right, I think that looks pretty cool.
Yeah, so he's got a kind of purple and black and white zebra going on.
Can you put it up?
Yeah. Oh. Okay. And if you're gonna drop it, best place to drop it is back in the water because it's already been there and the water's
Can you
not
bring it
gonna
over to
hurt
the camera?
Yeah, show the camera. There it is.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a. We did get a glob of paint. So we got it out.
Yeah. Okay. Scratch it up with your fingernail. Good as new.
Got it.
All right.
You're probably gonna want to hang that to dry.
Next we have some screwdriver handles. Yeah.
So we're just We're only painting the handles. We've put painter's tape over the actual like metal parts of it so that it doesn't lose any functionality.
And also, because it would scratch off if you put it on a part that's gonna rub against things.
Yeah, so
we're only gonna do the
this way.
handles. Hopefully these will go in our comp toolbox. Okay, ready?
Can I do them both at the same time? I guess?
Yeah.
Just do them, I guess.
Hi there. I really like you. What are your names? What?
We're doing them both at the same time just because they're small enough to have them in different areas and not affect each other.
A. I. D. Yeah.
Here, you want to bring them?
Yeah.
Who else?
That looks awesome.
What?
Yeah.
Here's
so
our
now we've got
Hydrodipping screwdrivers.
And then, should we wait to take off the painter's tape until it's a bit dry?
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you tape it off, probably wait until it's dry, just to
like tacky.
like a little bit tacky. You don't want it like super dry,
Because then it might crack the paint.
because then it could pull off some of the paint. But you don't want to pull it off immediately after either.
After A, M, A, K, E, N, N, A. No, next, who are they? Courtney?
We're in the middle of a presentation.
I don't know who
With the
you are. Emily? Who's that? Are you Courtney?
Okay, we're gonna try wood now. We have a ping pong paddle that we've spray painted.
Yeah, they are. Sorry about Cobra. Sorry about Cobra.
We're gonna walk around the other side of the building so we don't get away from the presentation.
I have to go through. Sorry, guys, coming through.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so one thing that you can try is if you take a zip tie and before you dip it, you can actually sort of swirl it around a little bit. So we're gonna try that. Can you swipe it a little bit? Yeah.
So I'm seeing somebody ask if we use any kind of top coat once we've kind of dried off the thing that we're hydro dipping. Whether you wanna.
Yeah, so we actually did experiment with some clear coating.
Okay.
So we did experiment with some clear coating, but we had some issues with it, the paint bubbling. So that might have been it wasn't completely dry and there was still a little bit of water left on the part. Or it might have been that there was water trapped underneath the paint. When we did that clear coat, it brought some of it out. But for whatever the reason, it did not give us that nice smooth finish we were looking for. So we don't normally do a clear coat on top of the hydrograph.
But we did clear coat our mice.
We did.
So it does work. I think it might also depend on the material. But usually we don't clear coat what's going on the robot, and it's held up actually really well. So. Okay. So another thing is you do want your water to be warm. It helps with the paint will stick a little bit better if it's cold. The paint has a tendency to sort of like clump up or get like tacky earlier. So if you spray it into warm water, it'll tend to work a little bit better. And then as to what type of paint we're using, we're just using Rust-Oleum. It's like a paint and primer mix. This is a matte paint. and it seems to work just fine. I'm sure you could use any spray paint. All right, now we're gonna try acrylic. Yeah.
All right. Now we're doing a piece of acrylic that we just kind of have.
Yeah, it was an old piece that broke from one of our 2019 Roma.
And
So this one was clear. We did not do a white coat underneath.
you can tell from a few spots that we don't have as much paint, but overall it came off pretty well.
There it is.
Yeah.
We've got kind of a good coat on both sides. It's a good reason for dipping it horizontally instead of just vertically, as you get more detail on either side.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as you can see, this does like dry the bed fairly quickly. So we are able to handle the pieces a little bit as we're stringing them on the line. But it really is best to let them dry on the line because if you let them dry on one surface, then they might get stuck to that surface.
And trying to pick it up might make the hydrodipper as well.
So the next thing we're going to do is some fuel from the steamworks here.
That's an example of why you should.
Okay. So we have some strength of paint here. We did it swirl the water just to sort of see what that looks like. It sort of causes the paint to sort of re-glue. Maybe that wasn't such a good piece to demonstrate that with.
And then I'm not sure if it shows up well on camera, but you can see it doesn't actually get to the inside. So if you have a piece that you can see the inside on, it might either take multiple dips or this just might not be the best option because it does tend to kind of stick to just the outside surface.
Give us a swirl for me.
I'm looking, so we actually did hydrodip one of the power cells from the 2020 game. I couldn't find it, but we did not base coat it with white, so it did not look super great, and also it was foam, so it like sucked up all of the water when we hydrodip, and it took like forever to dry out. But, you know, just kind of fun.
Game pieces, I think, are just hard to do.
Yeah, in general. Okay.
What?
I think you feel like the box a little bit.
Okay, so we do have a question question, how much of the robot do we hydro dip and how long
As
does
much
it
as
take?
we can.
So you don't want to hydro dip
Yes.
the whole thing. What we did this year was we did accent pieces. So we did like one bracket here and one bracket there. And we orbital sanded the rest of it. So it really highlighted certain parts of our robot and it wasn't too overwhelming. You can orbital sand or you can just paint like a flat color like white or black, whatever colors work with you. And then hydro dip only certain parts of it. It is easy to overdo it. And then how long it takes, we usually have about a day in between getting our parts and then dipping them. And then the next day they can probably go on the robot. It dries super fast. It's definitely faster than powder coating, which some teams do, just because we can do it here and it's super easy. Okay, and then there was the other question that was when we were first learning to do this, is there anything we tried that didn't work?
So we mentioned that like the no white coat underneath on the aluminum. So we've also got this piece where we tried to do white, blue, and purple in the hydro dipping. So it's like the white became overwhelming and it became a very light colored piece, not as vibrant or really attention grabbing as we were looking for. So working the white in is something that might work for some teams, but it wasn't something that we liked the look of. We also had a couple of times where it was like a really hot day out and the paint would dry like almost as soon as you got it on the water. So that made it really difficult to hydro dip because it was just all super clumpy and dry before it went even went.
Also, hydro dipping in the dark, you can do it. It is hard. We've had to do it multiple times just because, you know, the sun goes down in the winter at like 7 o'clock.
We've hydro dipped in the rain before.
We've hydro dipped in the rain before. That's not really ideal.
No.
So the ideal conditions are really it's a nice day outside. Your water's warm. It's not raining. You can see. That's always a plus.
Yeah.
And then what's the temperature of that water? I noticed we're starting to get some floaters.
Oh yeah. This water's not super hot because we ran out of hot water.
Okay. We might want to switch to the smaller bucket. So after a lot of dips, you will start to get like paint flecks in your water. So that's kind of annoying. They can sort of stick to your parts that you're dipping. So it's best to. Oh, we have the power cell.
So this is the power cell that I was talking about that we hydro dipped. It is not the greatest thing because you can still see the yellow underneath, and also it's still a little bit wet.
Wow. We did this in like February.
So I would like to emphasize that things that are foam are not the best hydro dipping option because, I feel like that's pretty evident. But yeah, this is it. We did end up dipping it a couple of different times, so there's quite a few layers of paint on here.
You can kind of see where we were grabbing it.
Yeah. So we were holding it these like darker yellow spots.
Almost a year.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna do a paper towel roll. We've done just regular cardboard before, and the cardboard started to delaminate when it got wet. But we've never tried like paper towel roll before. So
It's attached different. Whoa.
I think it's really cool to see through the clear bucket.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Okay. Pick it up and show the camera.
This is the paper towel roller.
That actually works better than I thought
Yeah.
it would.
We will keep you updated on whether or not the cardboard starts to delaminate. Or
I can already see it starting to go at the edges.
Oh yeah, you're right.
We have more questions.
Okay. Is there anything you tried to hydro dip that didn't dip well, other than the t-shirt? Well, we talked about the power cell. Don't dip foam.
Yeah.
Basically, make sure it's not hard to take out.
Really? We've hydro dipped a lot of things, and a lot of them have gone surprisingly well.
I mean, the cardboard obviously delaminated.
The cardboard didn't go so well, but most hard materials like plastic, aluminum.
Have you had anything that like sticks off of?
This is a personal thing, but it didn't stick super well when I tried to do it on my like rubber watch.
Okay,
So
rubber
it
it doesn't really
well on,
stick well either.
which that does work better if you put on a base coat first. It's just if it's just straight on the rubber, it does not. It clumps up a lot.
We're gonna try a 3D printed piece soon, which we haven't done before, so we're not really sure how that's gonna go or if it's gonna stick well or if not.
Just because there's a different sort of texture on
Right,
3D printed
yeah, it
pieces.
does have like a modest smooth texture, so.
Okay, what happens if you dual or tri-dip something? So you can dip something multiple times.
If you did that for the pieces that wouldn't fit.
Right. So for our 2020 robot, we did have some aluminum pieces that we tried to dip, but they didn't fit in our bucket. So we like dipped one side and then dipped the other side. It usually works pretty well. Sometimes you can see sort of the different layers of paint, and sometimes it looks good. Sometimes it looks,
Okay.
not so good. But usually you can re-dip something. So I don't know if there's anything over there you want to re-dip. The ping pong, the narwhal. Okay. Okay, we have the narwhal. We're gonna try to double dip for you guys. Hey, McKenna, can I make a suggestion? I would hold it by the horn. So you get the different side. And sort of do it like that. Okay.
Then there's the chance.
Okay, I would say that actually turned out pretty well for a double dip.
Yeah.
Here, I'll sort of So this side definitely looks good. You can see on the other side, the purple sort of covered up where the paint sort of broke off last time. And the horn actually lost paint. So maybe we should have let it dry a little bit more. But you can double dip things and it does work. So
So revisiting the screwdrivers as well while we're revisiting things. The painter's tape, well, it did its job. It's still very clean on the actual shaft and the head of the screwdrivers. And these are probably going to go in our comp toolbox, I think.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So yeah, very pretty, works very well.
Okay.
But
Yeah, so now we're gonna like
Really?
a button. It's a pre-made button. We just didn't use any paper or the plastic covering. Just the two pieces of metal front and back, and then we spray painted the whole thing white. So we're just gonna see how it goes, because hydro dip buttons would be totally cool.
That would be a lot of work though. If we had to hydrodip like 300 buttons with comp. Can you imagine?
Yeah, that would be awful. But like a lot of fun.
We could do multiple at once. It's just so, and it'd be pretty easy, and they'd probably all come out well, given how they look.
Getting a really straight shot. That looks pretty epic. We might have to do a couple of those for comp, for like alliance partners and stuff.
Ooh, yeah, that
That
would be
would
a lot of
be
fun.
But like, make like 20 of them.
So that's awesome. Show them the hydrogen hands if they want it. Yeah.
Okay, so somebody asked, can you hydrodip a piece of paper? I don't think that would work at all.
I think that would be very similar to the t-shirt.
We'll do it at the end.
No.
It'll probably
It would probably just
water.
It'll probably just like
the weight of the paint would probably tear it apart.
okay, we could try it. We're all
Not
about
before,
it.
just in case it does fall
Just
apart.
at the end in case it disintegrates and
That will be the last thing we do.
If you let us do it.
Yes.
this is what a hydrogen body part looks like.
Yes. Works surprisingly well. You're going to find out very
We
quickly.
accidentally hydrodipped the can.
We had a student ask to hydrodip his entire body last year. We had to shoot him down only because we did not have a tub big enough.
Wait, so we would have? That would have been
We're gonna do
it's just some PLA.
Yeah.
So.
Just to test out new material.
Great.
Go, go, go.
So this
That worked pretty well.
it worked pretty well.
It's an awkward shaped piece.
Yeah. Due to human error, there's a lot of white spots, but that's on me. It definitely seems like it's holding well to the material.
Probably good as rougher and there's more like
So definitely seems like you can do this if you have 3D printed accents or something that you want to spice up. Just make sure you have a good way to hold it.
All right. We can do the other half.
and then there are the two beside. I just feel like this is for the sake. This is for one person. This is the one that is really the shell that has.
Okay, so we're gonna do the other half of that Xbox controller regress. That's the purple and black. So the other one's like supposed to be 50, right? So I'm gonna try to get it 50 again, just by going a little bit farther away and moving the can. There's a little block right there on the inside. No, I think that's just the Xbox. Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay. So I think
Pretty good.
yeah, that one turned out I think a little bit better than the first Xbox stick we did. It's kind of like a cool Galaxy look. I like it. Alright, we also have a wheel that we're gonna try out.
Yeah, so this one does have the rubber type material on the outside.
We just sort of base coded the entire thing.
Yeah, we're just gonna see what happens.
Anything goes.
Yeah.
Anything where it's multiple materials like this?
I don't think so.
So it'll be interesting to see how it works on the transition.
Yeah.
All right, so
Oh, wow.
that was a big piece. We were probably going to have to do the other side of it when it gets a little drier. That actually looks cool. So one thing about hydro dipping is it's going to sort of dip continuously, even if there are holes in your part. So you can see that there were kind of holes in that wheel, and it sort of just went over those holes, and the inside spokes sort of stayed light. So it's cool if you want to do it intentionally like that.
Yeah,
It's just something that you can take advantage of.
All right, now we have some PVC.
Have we touched on like not dipping right where you're spraying everything? Like kind of going to the side.
Yeah, here, I'll show what that sort of looks like. Oh, well.
Sorry, I started swirling. But if you notice, as you start to like spray, the part, like the area directly where
So
you're
it sticks
spraying,
pretty well.
the paint is gonna like radiate out from there, so it's not gonna be like the best to dip it in right where you sprayed. You're gonna want to look around like the outer area of where the paint is to try and find a part with a nice pattern, because wherever you dip it, that's kind of the pattern that your part's gonna have. So you kind of get to choose what you want it to look like. What's the time? 9:53.
Okay. Yeah, we could get the piece of paper and see how that works. I've just been wiping away.
By popular demand, we have a piece of paper.
All right,
Okay.
so here's the
By
piece of paper.
request, we have a piece of paper.
Against our better judgment. But it'll be fun. Either way.
You know what? We're gonna find out.
Yeah.
Will it hydrogen?
Yeah, will it dry? Okay.
I did light on the paint.
So I just want to.
Right.
I'm sorry. I dipped it in and then pulled it out because I got really nervous about submerging it. But it did kind of stay. There's paint on the paper, and it does kind of have a pattern.
Something.
I just got really nervous that it was going to disintegrate in my hands as soon as I put it all the way in. So we do have this. It might dry. It might not. We'll see what happens.
Nice. Nice. Drew is good. Okay, so I think we're ready to sort of close our paper with our, well, that was kind of a big finale, I guess. So thank you all for watching. To get rid of the water, we just sort of dump it in the grass. And this was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So
Thanks for all your chat suggestions.
We have a Jimmy.
Wait, Jimmy's ready to dip his hand. Okay, we're gonna do this really quickly.
Really quickly?
Yeah, really quickly. Jimmy is our finale, our closing statement. So.
Okay, what do I do?
Just did. Probably around here so we just got. Oh man.
Oh, it's not all over.
I think that you're not approved.
Oh, look at that. That's pretty cool looking.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
High fives. All right. Oh, it's so sticky.
So yeah, thank you for listening to our presentation. Remember, aesthetics and branding are super important.
Rule number one.
Rule number one is always aesthetics. Yeah, thanks for coming. Bye.
Thanks for watching. If you want more fun content, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. Thanks to all of our co-executive producers on Patreon and Tier 2 Plus subscribers on Twitch, keeping fun loud, live, and independent.